Hello, everyone. I'm Casey, the Space Shaman.
Space Shaman! I'm Coach Anthony, the Positive Pineapple.
And we're coming to you live from the spaceship.
Yeah. We're in a spaceship right now.
So I titled this one Shaman's Tales or Shaman Tales. Yesterday I went live. I was talking about my latest journey, the experience that I had on my latest journey, just to kind of get a feel for how people would respond. And people really loved it. They were very engaged, interacting and asking lots of questions. And kind of had the realization that there's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff, having a lot of powerful spiritual experiences. And to hear someone who's maybe been walking on the path a little bit longer, just kind of openly share about all the beautiful, magical things we experience helps other people to feel more connected, and also kind of reassures them like, hey, you know, maybe I'm not that crazy, because this other guy's talking about stuff way more crazy than the things I experience.
No doubt about it.
So I wanted to share, I was just like experiences of intuition and communication with spirit in the physical world, because those can be really fun too. So this last time I was on my way back from my parents' cabin in Southern Ohio. My parents have a cabin in like the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere in Southern Ohio. And for some reason, I got up that morning and, you know, I could have laid around and had a laid back breakfast and stuff with my parents, but I was like, I need to get on the road like right now. So I packed up all my stuff. My mom was like, oh, I think you should wait. I think you should hang out for a little bit. And, you know, like the traffic's going to be really bad if you leave right now and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't know why, but like, I got to go. So I got on the road. I was driving home, and as I got on the highway, my little GPS all of a sudden started to go, traffic conditions are getting worse. I'm like, oh man. And then I saw my time go from like 2-hour drive to like 3 hours to like 4 hours. So I'm sitting there, and I just call out to my guides, who sometimes when I call out them, they'll actually be sitting in the seats of my car, some of them. So I called out to my guides, and I was like, all right, listen, we need to, like, I want to get home on time and like you not have to wait for all this time. So I asked my, like, all right, I'm going to get home in perfect timing. It's not going to take any longer than usual, all this stuff. And right after I'm done doing my magical work, talking to my guides, all of a sudden my phone goes, there's an alternate route. Would you like to take it? So I click yes. And it takes me off the highway into some weird back way, but it still says on the route that I was going, even on this alternate route, traffic conditions are getting worse. And then I was stopped at this stoplight, and there was like construction. So I'm like, oh man, this is like going to take forever. Traffic's getting worse there. But I was like, no, what? No, I'm the creator of my reality. My guides are with me. The gods are with me. I can do anything I want. So I was like, guys, let's do this. And I said to them, I am going to sit here and I'm going to watch this counter just tick down and down and down and down until it says it's the same time I was originally going to arrive. So I set that out there. And then as soon as the traffic light clears up and I'm driving, it says traffic conditions are improving. And then I sat there and I watched as this 4 hours went down to like 3, it went down to like 2. And then I watched the arrival time. The estimated arrival time was the same as the original estimated arrival time that I originally set out with. So we have the access. So I do these incredible journeys in spirit, have all these experiences. But the thing is, this physical reality is a journey in spirit too. Mm-hmm. So you have access to all that power, all the power of the gods, your guides, right here, right now in the physical world. How cool is that?
I think it's super cool. I love it. I love it. I can't think of any stories off the top of my head at the moment, and I'm on the Shaman's Tales. But Casey's got plenty for us, so don't worry. We actually had some pretty good things happen today. We had fun. We did a tobacco ceremony, and we're able to open up. We always open up into new levels of feeling and reality. It's really intense. It's really funny to me that something so overlooked can be so powerful, like medicinally, especially energy medicine wise.
Yeah. This will in our culture, you know, tobacco has really been bastardized, and it's seen as a very taboo, unhealthy thing. But in the indigenous communities where they're using raw organic tobacco as it grows out of the earth, these things that they tell you, like you smoke tobacco, you get lung cancer, you get heart disease, all of those things. These things are unknown to the indigenous communities that use these plant medicines. They don't have cancer or cardiovascular disease and all of these things. And so I did a lot of research into it. I found out that tobacco itself is what we smoke here in the West. People, when they smoke cigarettes and all of this, it's a tobacco product. It's actually more like, it'd be more accurate to call it brown paper sprayed with anywhere between 600 and 900 different chemicals. It's not even the actual leaf of tobacco anymore. It's like a paper product with a bunch of tobacco or a bunch of chemicals sprayed on it. And so when you take the actual plant as it grows out of the ground, it's actually a cousin of the cannabis plant, which the world is kind of waking up to see all these beautiful health benefits too. And tobacco in the indigenous communities is considered that's why we call it grandfather tobacco. It's the grandfather plant. It's the grandfather plant medicine. And it is considered the most powerful healer among all the plants. Isn't that kind of mind-blowing for
Yeah, I can attest it's very, very powerful. I've done a bunch of these ceremonies, and most of the time they're profound. I mean, for me, there's profound like things that are just amazing. How you're able to journey, places you're taken, shown energies. You can slip right into the void real easy. Mm-hmm. You have all kinds of possibilities open through this medicine. And then plus how it's used. When we use it, it's used in like the form of prayer. Mm-hmm. So you're causing an output of positive energy of Sami out into the world, light energy.
Yeah, there's this concept within Christianity called like when they take the Eucharist. I remember this priest telling me when I was younger. He said, depending on the intention with which you take the Eucharist, it can either be the greatest medicine for your body and spirit or the greatest poison. Mm. And so tobacco is a powerful prayer plant. So when we bring it into either our mouth or lungs, depending on what tradition you're from, there's a lot of traditions that say you never take it into the lungs. Mm-hmm. My teacher says otherwise. But when you're bringing it inside of you, you package it with your intention, with your prayers, and then you release that up to Great Spirit to be manifested. You're saying, this is really important. This is what I want. So sometimes we just give gratitude, give thanks for all the beauty that we're experiencing. And then that just comes rushing back to us. So I think in the same way, if you're using tobacco unconsciously, thinking about like, oh man, my day was shit, this sucks, all that, then yeah, it'll be a poison. But if you use it in a way where you're giving thanks for all the beautiful things in your life and asking for more beauty and love and abundance and joy, then it becomes a very powerful medicine.
Yeah, the vibrational ability is wild. It's nothing short of wild. If you're energy sensitive, I recommend you, if you've never had a tobacco ceremony or do anything like that, I recommend getting yourself one.
Yeah, but don't just go out to the store and like pick up a pack of Marlboros and expect to.
No, tobacco ceremony. I didn't say go get a pack of cigarettes. That's how it is.
Well, some people,
please don't do that.
I could hear someone out there who was thinking,
we're gonna be a Marlboro.
No, real tobacco, organic tobacco as it grows out of the earth, and then using it intentionally. I would recommend if it's your first time, do it with a shaman or at least someone who's familiar with how to pray with tobacco.
Yeah, for sure, because just the energetics about that is just totally awesome. It's really awesome. I think that's something a lot of people should experience. It'll change. It changes something.
Yeah, I remember reading this, and there are other ways to use tobacco than smoking. You can drink, and again, do not do this unless you're in the hands of a very skilled healer. There's a thing people do where they drink a tobacco juice, and it's very intense. It makes you vomit profusely, all this stuff. Another way to use is an enema. They do a tobacco enema. Yeah, that's the thing. And
well, you said you try anything once, twice if you like it.
But the thing is, you become
on the next live stream.
See you next time, live tobacco enema here on the Space Shaman.
That'll get some views.
I bet it would.
All right, I'm gonna go get an enema. I'll be right back.
All right, guys, I'm out of frame, but this is what's happening. Trust me, I have my pants down.
That's ridiculous.
But there was this guy I was listening to tell a story about how he did a tobacco enema ceremony, and before this, he had severe anger issues. Like he would get in fights all the time, and ended up in jail a few times because of it. All this stuff, and could never he'd been to healers and things, searching for some way to free him of his intense anger, but nothing really worked. And then he went to a tabaquero, a shaman who specializes in healing with tobacco, had this tobacco enema ceremony, got really sick, had a psychedelic kind of like experience. And then after that, he never had any anger issues anymore. Just that one ceremony, he never really had any anger issues.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
You get some sort of restructuring. It's something I noticed right away. The first time I tried it, I was just blown away. Like, because I used to be a smoker. I used to smoke like 2 packs a day of cigarettes some time back. And so I was kind of like not too hip about trying with the tobacco because I was like worried about it and all kinds of stuff. But it's just a totally different experience. It's nothing like when I used to smoke cigarettes, like having 20 cigarettes a day. Like, because when you do this tobacco ceremony, you're not like puffing down a pack of smokes. You're like having a part of one cigarette, or if you use a pipe, you're using just a certain amount. It's not like a ton. So you don't need much because it kind of hits you right. Because Casey always describes it like hit it till it hits you back. So it doesn't take long for that to happen. And you get this, I can't explain it. It's some sort of frequency buzz that you'll never feel any other way.
To me, I describe it as like being hit with the most powerful wave of Sami or light. It's just like an influx of, like, if you were to sit here, do Saman Chikui, some technique to bring spiritual light into your body. Imagine if you sat there and did that and just filled with light for like a whole hour or longer. But imagine that happened like that. And that's what tobacco feels like.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Whoosh and whoosh. And it's mostly out of body for me after that.
Yeah. Sometimes, a lot of the times I'll be just really in the void, no thought, no emotion, just disappeared into the space. And then other times I will actually leave and journey. And then sometimes tobacco spirit will show up and have certain messages for me. Other times he's just there kind of working with my energy field and healing, correcting things.
What's tobacco spirit look like to you?
Very tall, very large, but like kind of like an indigenous person, but with like all of these leaves and things all over him. It's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah, I've seen something similar. It's very similar.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's beautiful. But so today, after we had a tobacco ceremony, and then afterwards, I said something actually about the stream. I was like, we should, if we're gonna do this live stream, we need to do it at this time because then I have to go home and do things. So he's like, when I get back, right now I'm on another planet. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna go on a journey then because I still have the energy of this medicine. So I'm gonna journey. And I went to this particular section of forest in somewhere in the middle world, but it's somewhere that I frequent a lot. And I got there. And the first thing I noticed is that like all these angels, hundreds of angels and gods and goddesses were all standing around in this field. And I was like, oh, there's a lot of you here right now. And they were, I don't remember the dialogue exactly, but we were talking. And then they just all came around, and like it was this giant group hug with hundreds of angels and gods and goddesses, and they were just feeding this pure love into me, and like telling me these certain things about like how I give so much love and all this stuff to others, and like now's the time to really open up and just drink this in. Like we're always here for you. We always have this deep love for you, and so many people love and appreciate you, and just sending all of this into me. And then Thor, the Norse god, comes over and he's got this big mug of ale and he hands it to me and he goes, "Skål!" And so I was like, hey, it's time to have a little party with the gods and goddesses. So I downed this giant mug of ale, and then it just turned into a full-blown party at that point. And I was there was dancing and singing with all these gods and goddesses and angels. And then it was funny because at one point we were all dancing and stuff, and I saw some of the angels like flying, but like dancing above everyone else. So I was with like Thor and Odin and Freya and then some of my angels. So I go and I start to fly up, and Thor yells back at me, and he's like, "Hey, that's no fair. Get back down here." And he's like, "Yeah." Just went and was flying. I flew up into the sky, and then I just let myself fall back down, and then I was caught by all of these angels and gods and goddesses. It was a beautiful sensation. And then it became, I don't know if we were actually there this long or it just happened, but then it was nighttime. And the stars were out. You could see this like beautiful galaxy. And the thing I noticed also is that there were 3 moons. I never noticed it about this planet before. There are 3 moons. One was kind of the similar color to our moon, but much larger. And then one was orange, and one was kind of like a bluish greenish color. But then all around that was just beautiful galaxy. You could see stars and milkiness of the galaxy. It was really, really gorgeous. And then I saw all these gods and goddesses started running towards the edge of this cliff and jumping off. So I jumped off, and some of these beings can't fly, and the ones that couldn't, the angels would grab onto and fly them. And the rest of us, we just flew over this forest at night where there's all these bioluminescent beings all flying around and floating around. And then we flew over to this beach, and we landed on this beach, and waves, you could hear the waves, these 3 moons shining over the water, and it was just gorgeous. And then we were partying. Someone else handed me a big mug of something, and I drank it. And and then we were there.
I don't even know what it is. It's okay.
It was some kind of ale-like beverage. It tasted like an ale-like beverage. And then I remember I actually said, I was like, whoa. I think it was to Odin. I was like, I feel like I have a spiritual buzz. And he's like, well, you do. It was like, enjoy it. I'm like, okay. So then I go, and then we made our way. We went swimming. So we all jumped into the ocean, and there's all these, again, little like bioluminescent creatures of all different shapes and sizes, and they're all floating around us. We were under the water, and then all of a sudden they all swam away. And then this giant thing, like a shark-like being, came over. And at first I was kind of afraid. I was like, whoa, what is this thing? And then Odin went over to it and was like, took it in his hands and put his head up against this thing. And I could tell it was just this very loving thing. Then it came over to me, and this thing was so big. I was still, for a moment, there was like a little moment of like fear, but then I just kind of relaxed, and I just sent love into it. And then I could feel this like peering into each other's souls. And then it just kind of gently swam off, and then all the other little beings came around. And then we climbed out of the water, and then we were walking on the water. So I learned how to do this in spirit, where it's not just like you walk out on top of the water. There's actually like a little bit of an energetic technique where you match the vibration of your foot in a certain way to the vibration of the water, so that it creates resistance so you can stand on it. So I got out, and the other angels knew how to do this. And then the Norse gods, I guess, had never done this before. So they were like, hey, how do you do that? So I sent them like a download of how to do it. And then Odin gets up, and then Thor and then Freya, and they like all get up, and they're on the water. And then this excited Odin a lot. And so he was like, he was pretty rowdy at this point. So he starts like slamming down on the water. And then all of a sudden I look off in the distance, and I can just see the shadow of this giant wave coming towards us.
Tidal wave?
Yeah, like a huge wave. And I was like, oh man. So then these waves come, and I'm like running up this wave and like jumping off the top of it. And like we were just partying on this wave. And and then we did that for a while, then it calmed back down. And then me and Odin had a race. So Odin starts running, and I start running next to him. We're like speed of light, running really, really fast. And then I just looked at him, and I went like boom, and zipped like speed of light around this whole planet, and then came back to him. And he was like, oh yeah, you show off. And then he turns around, we head back the other direction, and then we stop right at the shore. And the wind from our stopping just sent this big wind through the trees, and then all these little beings you could see fly up from it. And then one of my angels like, all right, you boys are getting a little too rowdy now. You're starting to mess with the creatures here. And then Odin's like, oh, it's no big deal. We're just having a good time. And then, then we sat on the beach for a while. We went and sat on the beach. There are all these like little torches of light everywhere. And we just kind of sat there and were enjoying. And then I was receiving healing as I was laying in the sand from the beach and from Freya. Freya actually laid down on top of me and was like feeding all of this love into me.
Awesome.
It was really beautiful. And I think it was around then that like Thor was like, all right, now you need to go feast with your brothers and sisters in the physical world. And it's like, all right, it's time to come back. So then I came back to my body, and then I heard the door open, and our Mary, she was in the other room, came into the door with Thai food for us to eat. And then we had a feast.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in case you're talking about the speed, I can attest to that, because one of the small journeys I had today was actually I jumped into my spirit form, which is an angel. And I was flying around, and then I saw Casey. He was flying around. He came up by me. We kind of flew around a little bit, and he's like, "Hey, check this out." Pew, pew, like he took off and came back. And I looked at him, "Hey, man, how do you do that? Show me." He's like, "Intention." He gave me that download, the same one he's talking about. So like he did it a couple times today,
Yeah.
doing some downloads for people.
Yeah. It's because now this he didn't know. He never heard of me doing this kind of flying at that speed.
Yeah.
At least I never physically told him that I could do that. And then he had that experience, and I was like, yeah, I do that all the time. Yeah, that's me. So this is what's possible, man, for all of us, which is the coolest thing, you know. And then one of the things I was talking about on that while I was hanging out with all the gods and goddesses and angels was I was like, dude, I'm like, I could just stay here for eternity. And then someone was like, this is eternity. You're already in eternity right now. I'm like, man, I just got to thinking. I was like, you know, in this life alone, and then after this physical shell is shed, it's just like experiences like this whenever I want, you know, or other adventures, even more wild and beautiful. Like, dude, that's eternity. That's our
layers of existence.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows how many? I don't know.
Yeah, infinite.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. It's just it's just gonna happen forever. Might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
I do, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love it. I after that, I was just smiling. I came back, and I'm like, dude, I love life so much. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's all very healing. So for a lot of people, if you're not into shamanic journeying, I recommend you do it, because just using your intent to sit there, and what you're doing is you're taking yourself out of your conditioned thinking mind. Like, so if you don't even want to look at an energetic, not everybody wants to get right into spiritual energetics. You can start at a little bit slower speed. You can start it just kind of with like a reorganization technique. You can see it as that you're allowing yourself to use your imagination then to expand into a story. The thing is in our society, they try to tell us like your imagination like isn't real somehow. Like it isn't real, but it's an energy form. You know, it's just something it's a generated energy form. So it is real. It's very much real. Mm-hmm. And that a lot of people like, they'll ask like, so how did you connect to your abilities spiritually? I was like, well, I started being open to realize that there is no impossibility. That was kind of the first step for me. Like I started eliminating the idea of impossibility from my mind. Like, well, why is it impossible? I don't know. Someone told me, so I don't have to agree. So then I started realizing, and then the more learning I do and everything, you start realizing that like nothing's actually impossible. And then you start realizing that you yourself are a living impossibility. How did you make it through everything you did to get here? And you're a living miracle. It's amazing.
Yeah. And you know, that's a big thing. And it's, you know, I believe it's that way on purpose, but we have been programmed to distrust our own experience.
Yep.
Right. So I'm teaching one of my good friends how to journey. She's so interested in it, so ready, but she had her first journey experience. It was beautiful. You know, she brought herself in, I guided her, and then she was like on this pink sand beach with purple sky and blue ocean, and was sitting on this cliff talking to this little mushroom guy being, and like walking through this forest and like doing all this stuff. And then she said afterwards her mind was going through all this stuff. So I'm like, how do you know you didn't just make all that up and all this? How do you know you're not just imagining all this? And I was telling her, like, well, how do you know you're not imagining all of this around you, the physical reality? She's like, I don't. I'm like, well, yeah, because you are imagining all of it. It's whether it's the physical reality or a spiritual reality, which the physical reality is just a spiritual reality.
Just a level of spirituality.
Just another layer. Yeah. So all of it is equally real. There's no, how can you have one reality be more or less real than another?
It can't be.
It doesn't even make sense. Yeah, they're all.
Although I've been in realities that felt more real than this one to me. So
yeah,
like in some way, like it seemed like this one when I come back is more mechanical and fake in some way.
Yeah, and like I've been to a lot of realities where I feel like I belong there more than I belong here in a way.
Yeah,
I've had that happen a lot.
You probably spent more time there.
Yeah, because I come from a race of beings that I call the Alliance, but when I talk to other people, I say angels because we're like a winged humanoid type being, but it's very different than some people's idea of what angels are. We're an alliance of beings of all different races from all different universes, from all different planets, and we're kind of like a harmony faction, and we facilitate healing for other planets. We can be ambassadors, doing negotiations for races of beings where chaos may be about to ensue. We act as mercenaries sometimes, as if you watched my live stream, you would have gotten a full story about how that sometimes happens. But it's just fun. You know, I love being with that race of beings and doing that work. And so I'll take on jobs in this life, you know. So if sometimes when I journey, I can journey, I can just have a party with the gods and goddesses and hang out, or I can go do some work. I can go take on a job and like do something for the Alliance. And like the Alliance will sanction certain jobs. They observe. They have all these methods of observing different things from all different universes, and they'll say, okay, well, this race of beings, some of them actually request help. They'll reach out to the Alliance and say, hey, we got this problem with this other race of beings. We need your guys' we need you to intervene in some way or something. And so like sometimes when I'm journeying, one of my guides will be like, hey, if you want, you can take on this job. And then I will. And they're usually really beautiful adventures. They're usually really fun.
You got some comments. Who's Potato Head? Is that a friend of yours?
No, this is Twitch. Twitch Potato Head says hi, and then what is happening?
What is happening, Potato Head? I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, just the journeys experiences that I have are beautiful, but the day-to-day experiences of this reality are beautiful. You know, I remember I was watching this anime where this girl had the ability to talk with spirits, and she would kind of like pull pranks on people and stuff, or other people that could see spirits. She'd be like, hey, go mess with this person. And do a little pookly eye and just play a joke on them. And I remember watching this anime at the time. I was like, oh, that seems like so much fun. Like, that'd be cool to be able to do that. And I was like, wait a minute. That's my life. I'm an anime character.
Look what you've done. You create your world. So look what you've done. You're an anime character. Oh. Hey, y'all, I get to hang out with an anime character. What's your name in Japanese?
Keishi. Jada was saying, what anime is that? It was called Inspector, like Inspector, but then and then like the specter is in like a ghost inspector. Was not a very good anime. It had a lot. I thought it was going to be good when I first started watching it, and then they just went they didn't do it justice. They could have done a lot better with that. So it's not one I would really recommend, but it was fun to watch in the beginning.
Word. What's going on, man?
Oh man, all kinds of things. I've realized that you know, there are a lot of people out there who want to learn and want to grow, but not a lot of people that are willing to actually put in the time and effort to really train and learn. And because for years I've been looking for someone to kind of pass my knowledge on to. Because you know, in this life alone, I have like 14 or so years of experience journeying, you know, doing energy work, healing, all of this stuff. And like, I really want to share this knowledge with people. And I've had people over the years come to me and say, like, I really want to learn how to do what you do. And I start telling them, like, okay, well, you need to practice this and this. And then I'll see you next week and we'll continue. I'll give you the next thing to practice. And then I talk to them and they're like, no, I haven't been doing anything.
I can relate to that, especially with the breathwork teachings. It's the same thing. I'm ready to make change. I want things to happen. And then they'll get started into it, and then they'll kind of fall away. But the thing is it seems a lot of them rebound later. Like once the door opens, it's about getting that door open. And we plant seeds. That's what we do. We're Pacos.
Right? Yeah. So So, well, meeting you, you're one of I haven't even actively tried to train you.
You haven't had to.
Because I just show up and I do things and you're like, oh, I can do that. And you figure it out and take it to a different level.
Just you being around me. So that's something like I notice all the time, especially more now, is like we're consistently carpying from each other, or like initiating each other in different levels of energetics and different levels of consciousness. Because we've only known each other for about 10 months. And in this 10 months, I feel like we've made these huge leaps and bounds in our just overall skill of living. Like just looking at everything in every aspect, I feel like things have changed in a lot of ways for both of us. So I think it just comes down to people working together, willingly to work together and try to create. And that's what we're doing. So that's why we're here. We create. And we got something new coming out. That's something we were going to do today, but we're kind of pushing it off. But what are we going to be doing, Casey?
Okay, so we're just going to announce it, huh?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay, so we have Space Shaman, the YouTube channel. We have The Positive Pineapple, the YouTube channel. And Space Shaman and The Positive Pineapple are joining forces and creating a new channel on YouTube, Twitch. We don't have one yet, but we'll have a Facebook page and all this stuff. But it's going to be called The Healing House. And the YouTube channel especially is we plan to have like a like he was saying, like a TV channel. It's just all kinds of conscious content. And as often as possible, it's going to be me, Tony, and Mary together. Create, talking consciousness, sharing stories, doing breath work, healing sessions, all of this stuff. But then we're going to create content individually as well. It's going to kind of become a hub for just all kinds of conscious content and just helping to share and spread beauty, peace, lightness, and consciousness.
Yeah, this is like how we plan to start a collective. In the long run, what we'll do is we'll probably amass a huge amount of other people who are on the same path. So we can like lead our way out into the world and keep spreading light everywhere. Because that's something I set out to do a couple years ago after my own pretty much miraculous healing. I felt so good in that moment, in that time when I knew I found my freedom. I wanted everyone else to potentially find the same freedom. And that lit me up inside. That set me off on a course. And that sent me through all kinds of things, sent me through many things. It sent me into learning about breath work, which helped me like all through these things that continued into my healing, the cold water exposure, learning all kinds of other things, being around Casey, becoming he got me into the Paco Kunda tradition. He pretty much shoved me in there. He said, no, this is for you. Believe me. And I was like, okay, I couldn't deny it. I mean, every sign was showing me that was what I had to do. I mean, there was no doubt about it. But of course, the ego has a hard time letting go and accepting change. So I recognized that right away. And that's what got me to walk right into it. Because so far, that's kind of like how I've modeled my growth by stepping into the things that I see instead of walking away and leaving alone. I consistently, fearlessly walk into the things that need to be straightened out. Because we all have them. We all have these things. There's things within our thinking, our personality. Some of it's mentally generated. Some of it's cellular memory. Some of it's ancestral. I mean, there's all kinds of things happening. And these are the things that we seek healing from each other for. And that's where it becomes really imperative, especially in these times where we're heading now, is to commune together and heal together. Like yesterday, we had a really nice donation-based community healing event at a friend of ours' house. It's a beautiful house, nice house, big house, beautiful energy there. And we squeezed like 15 people in here. So collectively, you got 15 people in there, and we all just started breathing, got into breathing. I started leading, started saying some things, taking their awareness to other places, having them do some energy cleansing exercise and teaching them. So I'm giving them this, they're taking a car pie from me. It's a big download. I'm also taking their energy download. It was so amazing. So I'm sitting there and we're switching this energy back and forth. And as it's continuing, I move on further down into the breath work. And an idea came to me. So Spirit talked to me, said, hey, why don't you use all this energy you have here to put intent into the world for people? So then I asked people in a room, we're going to begin breathing, and started breathing. And then I told them, I was like, I want you to take your intent. I want you to put it out into the world. I want you to put love and compassion out into the world for someone else who can't breathe. someone else who can't use their lungs right now, for someone else that's even in a mindset of fear where they can't get a full expansion of breath. Give them your breath. Have the intent to give your breath to everyone. As we sat there and breathed, it felt like the whole house started to float off of its foundation, and everyone in the room, you could feel everyone. Some people were having some emotional reactions, and then I asked them, I was like, now I want you to put your intent out into the world, and whoever, if you have one in specific you want to put this to, I want you to speak their name. And then so everybody's breathing, and you'll hear these names come out. William. And I was like, oh, and you could feel and you could see all this energy happening, and it was just so amazing that we're all working together in this way just to do some breath work. Just to sit down. I mean, we did other things. We did some chiropractic care, and then I did some energy work for people outside of that. But just the breathing alone, just taking some time to sit down and breathe together was so amazing. So imagine what else we could do. We could sit around. I mean, here's what I got to tell anyone watching this or watches this in the future. If you're interested, and I would say try it, just try shamanic journeying. You want this guy to do it. Like, he's so good at it. He can snap you out of like any thinking basically, and you become part of this thing that he helps you create. It's a very gifted form of healing that you possess.
Yeah. So that actually it's amazing you came around to that, because that ties into what I was talking about before. Where I was, because I've realized through teaching you and then my friend to journey and all of this stuff, like, this is a real potent medicine that I meant to share with the world, to bring back into the world, because it is an ancient technology. This is not new stuff. It's nothing new age. Shamanic journeying has, as far as we know, has existed as far as mankind has been getting together into tribes, and possibly even before that.
Yep.
But shamanic journeying is an ancient technology.
Yep. Because it's layered, right? Because it's working different ways. Because even if you're not spiritually evolved that far to see that much, just the practice neurologically of doing it creates that ability. It's like you're working your way out into that spaciousness is what's happening. So that's why I've been teaching it forever. It's not even, because some people are like, oh yeah, that sounds like some magic voodoo stuff. Well, it becomes that, I guess. But the thing is that's where it starts from for most people, because that's how it started with me. I had to train my neurology to change into this. So I'm very familiar. It's acutely aware to me, like the things that happen as the brain changes. And so I can totally see and feel, that happening when I journey. When the first time you guided me on a journey, it's like it's like, because I'm made for this. I'm supposed to do this. I'm a downloader. So I take in this information. It's like you give me this code and it comes in, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden I have this ability that I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of been that way since he's shown up. Like, I've been growing in ability, like slowly over and over. And the more I grow in ability, the more he grows in ability. The more I grow, and the more he grows. And it's like I can see what's happening is we're bouncing off each other, because we both have like certain skill sets and mindsets about things. But when we put them together, it's extremely powerful. It's more powerful than when they're separated, because we're like Yanantan. There's so much that we have in common, but there's such separate differences as well that when we combine, it kind of comes together and makes it an awesome thing.
It's like synergistic friction that just creates sparks of possibility. Yeah. It's really powerful. Which is why we want to do so much together, and create as much as we can together. Because on our own, we're very powerful, and we're very good at helping to spread consciousness, helping people to wake up and find out just how powerful and amazing they are. When we come together, it's like a whole other level of that. And it's really beautiful.
Word. Yeah, totally.
So shamanic journey, I want to spread to as many people as I can. If people who are interested, if what I talked about, just having a party with a bunch of gods and goddesses and angels, or of going on an adventure and battling a bunch of aliens, sounds fun to you?
Ooh, we should. So what we should do is we should do a breathwork shamanic journey party.
Yeah.
That would be good, because you get breathed out and then go on a journey.
Well, I always start
in your meditative state.
I start I didn't always. Yeah. But nowadays that I have the tool of breathwork, before the journey, we always do breathwork.
Yeah. Go deep. Like, we'll go deep into the breath work. Like, do like an hour of breath work, because it'll be like, it'll be like a 2-hour dig. You could do like an hour of breath work and an hour of journeying.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
I want to be there already. I want to be there. Yeah. All right, there we go. So we're coming up with some new ideas here. We can throw maybe we can throw an ice bath in there. I don't know. Dude, we got the mobile ice bath. What could we do? What's the possibilities? Who wants to host one of these things? Since we're on the show, we're going to move it into this. We're doing more donation-based community healing. So we're looking for people that want to host these things. If you want to host one of these things in your house, we'll do this thing. We can do these in your house. And what we do is we don't give your address out to people or anything like that. What we do is we actually have people reserve the spots to come do it. So it's like limited, especially if it's in your house. Like we did one yesterday in a house, and I think there was 12 or 13 participants, and it was perfect. It fit perfect. It was great. It was perfect. It was amazing. But the collective energy of all the people when you do this kind of thing is really good.
But if we should make this into, and we're gonna have to come up with a different name, because community-based on it, community. So it's not like some kind of something experience. Because it's an experience for people,
Right.
So some kind of like, we'll come up with the word.
Yeah, that's just the word I use for now, because the first thing that a lot of people that I'm trying to get to, because we can do different things. We can do things at our events where we have people come and do it.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Those are the ones we give them the nice names and do the extras.
Yeah.
These here are donation based, so we're just getting out here trying to get like an overlay. Trying to get people who are interested in these things ways to get in if they don't want to like get into like spend any money, basically. Like we go, hey, it doesn't matter, because we want everyone to come, because for a lot of people that's an excuse. Even if they have the money or they have the thing, they'll say something like, I can't afford that or whatever, so I try to eliminate that. I'm like, well, I'll help you anyways. How about that? How about whatever happens, you can do whatever you want. And I also started saying, like from now on, what I'm offering to everyone is if you don't like what's happened, you can get your money back. I'm not going to take your money if you don't think you've gotten something out of your time with me. Right? Yeah.
I will. I've noticed that some people, though, you say that you're like, don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about the money. Like some people who really aren't ready will still find an excuse.
Right, but then
then they're flustered. They're flustered. Right. They can't. They're like,
so that's your medicine.
I'm just afraid. My ego.
Do you see how that's your medicine? So what you're doing is you're creating a change. You're eliminating that one possibility. One thing has changed. How's it always work? The whole thing is if you want to change one thing about what you're doing. Change one thing about your approach, one thing about your mindset. It doesn't have to be everything at once. Changing one thing changes the complete idea. So what happens for that person when you eliminate that possibility that like, I can't afford that or something, which your self-care, improving yourself there's no price tag on that. Like there's no price tag on that at all. But the thing is when you eliminate that possibility, like they can't use that excuse anymore, right? They're going to get flustered. And what they have to do is they have to face it, is what happens.
And they realize like, that was a lie. I can't afford this. So I'm just afraid. Even if they won't admit that, they have that realization. And then, maybe some time goes by and they're going to say, well, why am I afraid? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid to improve myself, to get better? It's all medicine.
It usually makes up for itself anyways. I mean, we don't care what you got. Like there's people that donate handsomely, people that donate not so handsomely. They don't have it. I always tell people, if you're going to do these things, all you got to do is, if you have nothing, fine. And if you're going to donate with the energy you wish to receive. So that's not the same for everybody, because for some people financially, $10 is a lot of money. For someone financially, $50 or $100 is not a lot of money. It all depends on what your standpoint psychologically is. And that doesn't matter to us. All we want you to do is show up and be there. That's really all we want you to do, is just be there.
So, hey, I got to go take a Nihongo lesson. I got to learn Japanese. So, unfortunately, we got to wrap this up. I can keep talking for a while. But it has been, 43 minutes.
Yeah.
We just started, man.
We slam right through there, man. Flying right through.
So that everyone
what happens when you have a good time, when you become more wave than particle. That's what happens. Everything kind of flies by.
Time simultaneously is like hundreds of years can happen in a few months. And then also a day can go by in the blink.
That's actually something cool to talk about on another live stream. Let's talk about like time. Talk about how that changes so much between here and other places.
Yes, that'd be time dilation, man. That's a cool thing.
Time dilation. That's the word. I love it.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all so much. Support us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/the space shaman. So you can become the first patron, because I just created this thing a few days ago. So if you want to be my first patron, that will just help us to do all the things we're talking about. Heal, spread love, consciousness, and create more really fun, beautiful content like this.
Yes. Together we can change the world. Breathe and be love, friends.
Breathe and be love. Thank you all so much. I love you so much. A Nike Kuyaki.
Nike Kuyai.
Arpichai Sonkolai. Oh, it pulled up a thesaurus instead of hitting end live stream. That's fun. All right, so we're going to try this again.
3, 2, 1.
A Nike Kuyaki.
Nike.
Arpichai Sonkolai.